Okay, picture this. You're in an elevator. Just you and one other person, 14 floors to go, and somehow, in this tiny steel box, the silence becomes the loudest thing you've ever heard. You start doing the math, should I say something. Is it weird that I haven't said anything? Is it weirder that I'm now thinking about whether it's weird? Your brain is running a full-blown emergency broadcast system over the fact that nobody's talking in an elevator. Here's the thing nobody tells you. That other person is almost certainly thinking about lunch. Not you. Lunch. Your brain thinks it's the main character in everyone else's movie, when really, most people are too busy running their own emergency broadcast to even notice you're in the scene. That's a classic glitch. Today we're doing a different one. A quieter one that doesn't show up in an elevator, it shows up everywhere else. In your paycheck, in your relationship, in that thing you saved up 2 years for and felt amazing about for exactly 19 days. We're talking about the hedonic treadmill. And I promise you, the real research behind this is way weirder and way more useful than the Instagram caption version you've probably already heard. Let's get into it. So here's the setup almost everyone knows. 1978, two psychologists, Brickman and Bullman, go find people who just won the lottery and people who were recently paralyzed in accidents, and they ask both groups the same question. How happy are you right now with your life? And the famous finding is about the same a year out. The lottery winners weren't dramatically happier than the control group. The accident victims weren't dramatically less happy than you'd expect either. Both groups drifted back towards some invisible baseline. That's usually where the story ends in the version you've heard. Nice tidy lesson. Money doesn't buy happiness. Cool. Roll credits. Except, here's the part that actually got left out of basically every self-help summary of this study ever made. The lottery winners didn't just fail to get happier. They got measurably worse at enjoying small things. Talking to a friend, eating breakfast, reading a magazine, ordinary, boring, free pleasures. The winners rated all of it lower than people who never won anything. Think about that for a second. Winning the lottery didn't reset these people to zero. It reset them to negative. Like their brain had been running on regular unleaded, got a hit of rocket fuel, and now regular unleaded just doesn't register anymore. That's not money can't buy happiness. That's money can quietly break your ability to enjoy the stuff that used to work fine. And genuinely, the data on this is kind of unsettling once you sit with it. Now, quick, slightly heavier detour, because I think it matters for understanding this whole idea. The guy who coined the term hedonic treadmill, Philip Brickman, later died by suicide. He jumped from a building across the street from his own office at the University of Michigan. I'm not bringing that up for shock value. I'm bringing it up because it's genuinely humbling. Here's a man who mathematically demonstrated with real data that external wins don't fix your internal state. He understood the mechanism better than almost anyone alive. And understanding a trap on paper apparently isn't the same as being able to walk yourself out of it. If any of this is landing close to home for you right now, I want to gently say there are people trained to help with exactly that weight, and reaching out to them is a genuinely strong move, not a last resort. Okay, let's get back into the mechanism, because here's where it gets almost sci-fi. Your brain runs two completely separate systems for reward, not one. Two, there's wanting, and there's leaking, and neuroscientist Kent Berridge spent decades proving these are physically different circuits in your brain. Dopamine, the chemical everyone blames for pleasure, doesn't actually do pleasure. Dopamine does wanting. It's the search bar chemical. It's the itch. Liking, the actual warm, fuzzy payoff, comes from a totally different, much smaller system. These tiny clusters, Berridge literally calls hedonic hotspots. And here's the part that should mess with you a little. In lab studies, animals will compulsively chase a reward their own brain has already flagged as gross. Wanting it and liking it are not the same switch. You can want something with your whole chest and feel absolutely nothing when you get it. Your brain was never built with a "you have arrived, please stop" function. It's a search engine running 24/7, with no off switch, permanently refreshing the query. That's not a personality flaw. That's the actual architecture. So here's how this shows up in real life, and you have definitely done this. You get the job offer, or the relationship, or the apartment, and in your head, this is the moment. Once I get this, I'm done. I've arrived. Happiness unlocked forever. Psychologist Ben-Shahar has a name for this. He calls it the arrival fallacy, the belief that a specific future milestone will deliver a permanent upgrade to how you feel. And here's the part that's almost cruel about it. This isn't a lesson you learn once and then correct for. You will get the promotion. Feel amazing for about 2 weeks. Watch it fade. And then set a brand new "once I get this, I'll finally be happy" target completely undeterred by the fact that this exact prediction just failed you. It's a bug that never patches itself. Every single time. Honestly, it's kind of funny in a bleak way. Your brain has run this exact experiment 100 times, gotten the same negative result 100 times, and still submits the same hypothesis for peer review next Tuesday. Now, here's where the popular version of this story actually gets it wrong. And I think this is the most important correction in the whole video. The treadmill theory implies everything fades back to baseline. Win the lottery, fade back. Lose a leg, fade back. Everything evens out eventually, so nothing really matters long term. Except that's not true. Researchers tracking people over years found that some things just don't fade. Losing a job, chronic disability, These left lasting dents in people's baseline happiness that never fully bounced back. So your brain has a hidden exception list. Some hits get absorbed, some hits permanently move the floor. And figuring out which is which in your own life is honestly a more useful question than does happiness ever last? Because the answer is sometimes yes, actually. Here's another twist that breaks the more is always better assumption people carry around. There's a UK study that tracked lottery winners specifically at different prize sizes. And you'd expect, obviously, bigger win, bigger benefit. Instead, medium-sized wins, a few £1,000s, not life-changing money, correlated with better long-term psychological health than either tiny wins or no win at all. Not the biggest number, the middle number. Which suggests this whole system isn't a flat, nothing external ever helps story. It's dose-dependent. And the dose-response curve is not the one your intuition would draw. And it's not just money. Watch this play out with your literal physical body. Researchers looked at people who'd had one heart attack and then had a second one. And the second time around, their reported well-being dropped way less than it did for people experiencing a heart problem for the very first time. Your nervous system built a callus. It preloaded a smaller damage estimate the second time the same bad news showed up. Same event, smaller emotional hit, purely because your brain had already run the simulation once. Kind of incredible when you think about it. Your mind is quietly building antibodies against specific categories of bad news, the same way your body does against a virus it's already seen. So why would evolution build something this, frankly, inconvenient? Why would your brain be engineered to never let a good feeling just sit there and be enjoyed? Here's the theory, and it actually makes brutal sense once you hear it. Happiness was never designed to track your current state. It was designed to track change, because a caveman who stayed thrilled about yesterday's successful hunt was a caveman who wasn't paying attention to the predator sneaking up on him today. Constant, unchanging stimuli are supposed to fade into background noise. That's not a malfunction. That's your attention budget getting freed up for the next threat, the next opportunity, the next thing that might actually kill you. The problem is you're not dodging predators anymore. You're refreshing an app. And your ancient alarm system doesn't know the difference. It just knows new stimulus, pay attention, old stimulus, ignore. Which means the exact software that kept your ancestors alive is now the reason your brand new phone feels boring by Thursday. And this is maybe the most modern version of the glitch, so stick with me for this last one. That sensitized, wanting circuit we talked about earlier, the one that's separate from actual pleasure, it doesn't just fade quietly when the liking fades. Research on this shows the wanting circuit can stay sensitized for years, long after the thing itself stopped delivering any pleasure at all, which is the actual mechanism behind why you keep refreshing the app that you can prove, from your own experience, makes you feel worse. Why you keep chasing the next purchase in a category you already know doesn't move the needle for you anymore. Your wanting system and your liking system have quietly filed for divorce and wanting kept the house. So, zoom all the way out with me for a second. None of this is a personal failure. It's not that you're ungrateful or broken or bad at being happy. You are running 400,000 years of survival code on hardware that was never updated for a world with infinite lottery wins, infinite promotions, infinite scrolling. The treadmill isn't a punishment. It's a feature that kept your ancestors alive long enough to make you. It just happens to be spectacularly mismatched to a world where the next threat isn't a predator. It's a notification. And honestly, there's something kind of freeing in that. You're not failing to arrive. There was never a finish line built into the system to begin with. The chase was always the point, evolutionarily speaking. Not because that's poetic, but because a brain that stopped chasing was a brain that got eaten. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, once I get this, I'll finally be satisfied, you can just notice it, not fix it, not fight it. Just notice the ancient machinery doing exactly what it was built to do. That's it. That's the whole trick. You're not on a broken treadmill. You're on the treadmill that built every single person who ever survived long enough to have this thought in the first place.